Just figuring out my surroundings here. Power plugs. We'll get started in just a minute here. So is anyone in here also on the thing? Looks like no. So we've got Gabby, Susie, and me in person here at the Market Center. And then it looks like another 5 people on Zoom. Can everybody kind of raise your hand or tell me if you are present and ready to rock?
I'm here, Beth Jackson.
Hi, Beth.
Hey.
Who else do we got?
Hi, Paul. This is Lisa Lee. I'm ready. I'm en route to my home office, so I'll turn my video on as soon as I get to my laptop. So I'm listening to you guys, so I'm ready.
Perfect. Who else?
I'm Jeannie Nix, and I'm kind of hiding my video because my cat is wanting to join.
We love cats here. Join on up. Okay, nice to meet you. And who's next? Did Martha speak out?
Oh, hi, Paul. I'm so ready. And
All
I'm
right.
not with the camera because I'm eating something.
Hey, no problem. I just ate a banana on the way here. Okay, cool.
Seems like sometimes people jump on later.
Yep, so I'm hearing that we'll probably have some additions to the class as we go. No problem. Today's class is a little bit different. It has to do with more of a philosophical approach to the business rather than a specific like duties that realtors perform. And so it's a little bit higher picture, I'd say. Maybe we'll just give it a couple more minutes here and see who else is coming. Do we have Janet here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, how are you?
Hey, nice to meet you. So I've got 2 screens running. Anyone on Zoom can see me twice. That's just because 2 screens is better than 1.
Do you want this down?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Jordan is here, our lovely savior, to give us more sound.
Tech guru.
Tekaroo.
Oh, it's probably because my sound on here is down. I never. Let's see. Can someone talk for me?
Someone on Zoom speak up for us?
Hello.
Hey, Jordan.
Woo, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Lisa.
You look,
Alrighty.
Jordan, I meant to tell you, you look like a badass movie star like in a assassin movies.
That's what I was going to. Someone noticed.
I didn't get that.
You didn't get that vibe? Oh, wow.
That's fine.
Alrighty. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
I think
Thank
my
you,
job
Jordan.
is done here. You're welcome.
All right, there goes our movie star. So, and that was good because we took an extra couple minutes for any late joiners. So, welcome to the class today. Thanks for participating in Ignite. It's a great resource. I've been in the industry for many years and I have not taken Ignite. So this has been kind of cool for me too. There's a lot of good content here that I would not have been able to think of. And we'll be going over some of that today. So, but first, one thing you need to know about me, I guess, because we're going to be together for 3 or so hours today, is that I really value interaction. So that's why I'm here in person at the Market Center. And that's why I really hope that people choose to go video through Zoom with us if you can later when your cat and your food is gone. Don't be embarrassed. There's something that I say a lot to newer people in the industry, and that is it's better to fail with each other here where it's safe than say face-to-face with a lead at an open house or at the listing table, you know, at a potential client's dining room table. Better to stumble here where we all respect each other and have all done that a million times than out there. And so that kind of goes along with Zoom video. If you feel like plugging into that, that's your choice, but there's nothing to be afraid of. And I would really like to start out along those lines. There she is. We have 3 people now here live, not including me. So that's amazing. My Ignite class tomorrow that I'm teaching, highly encourage you to think about coming live if you're comfortable with coronavirus. We've got a nice big, well-ventilated room here. And I really like person-to-person interaction, both myself and with students interacting with one another, because one of the things we're going to do toward the end today, not to give anyone a heart attack, but we are going to be running a script at the end of today's class. And then we're going to do it. Each one of us is going to take our turn and do it. And some people, that makes them want to faint. I hope you don't leave because I've said that, because scripting is huge. It's one of the things that has really helped launch my career and the career of other new agents that I've watched kind of blow up and do well. Scripting is, once again, something that we'd rather do and fail here together where it's safe, rather than stumble across the dinner table at a listing appointment with a potential client we're trying to win, right? Who's with me? Come on, Zoom. And if anyone ever wants to clarify any items or have us go back and raise their hand, please speak out, especially you guys on Zoom, guys and gals, and we'll make this really interactive and fun, and maybe end early today, okay? Sound good? Cool. Okay, so a call to action. Everyone listen up. I am going to call on everyone who's present here, Zoom and in person, to introduce yourself and tell me how long you've been licensed or how long you've been in the industry. Just a quick word about who you are and your experience in real estate so far. Okay, so everyone on Zoom, you're going to be second. Give you a little time to think and to show up. We're going to start live, okay, with our studio audience here. Again, your name, how long you've been in the industry, and anything pertinent regarding real estate that you want to say. Gabby.
Do we have to stand up?
Sure. Stand up, Gabby. Let's do this.
Hey, Paul, can I make a request? The people that are home, that are there with you, we can't hear them when they are far off from your, whatever yours.
That's true. Very good point. No one's on Zoom. Yeah, you could come up here and be on camera with me. How about that?
Perfect.
Take it away. Can I trust?
I said, get the camera over here.
Yeah. We've got Gabby. First up.
Hi, my name is Gabby, and I have 22 years as a real estate agent and learning every day.
Awesome, Gabby. Where have you been have you been with Keller that whole time? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Gabby. Who's next? I think it's Susie.
Susie, go.
Susie, get on up here.
All right.
Oh, use a limbo. We got a power cord here.
I feel like we know each other already.
Hey, Susie, look to your left. You're actually, there you go. Hi. Now we can see you.
Okay, maybe that's better.
Okay. Susie Williamson. As you know, we just got licensed in early February. No experience in real estate. I'm a teacher by trade. And yeah, Elizabeth and I are starting a mother-daughter team.
Awesome. So it's safe to say that you've never been with any other brokerage before, just
Right.
KW?
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Susie.
Okay.
All right, hobble on up here. I know you can do it. Oh, very smooth.
It's new.
Oh, it's off. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Congrats.
Hi, guys. I'm excited because I have 2 shoes on for the first time ever, I feel like. I was in a boot before this. If you didn't know, I had foot surgery in December. So I'm Elizabeth, and I am new, like my mom said. We just got licensed in February, and I'm an interior designer. My background is in interior design, yeah. And that's about it.
All righty. Thank you. Good to see you again. Folks probably don't know, but Elizabeth was kind enough to join me at a very quiet open house this last weekend. So we basically just spent the whole time role playing
It was so good.
various things. It was good, yeah, it was good, thank you. Okay, Zoom, it's up to you. Can I nominate someone to go first on Zoom and tell us a little bit about yourself, just like they did? Come, step right up.
Can we like switch the screen so we can see that?
Jeannie, we want to take it away?
Yeah, I can do that. Jeannie Nix, I did a
Oh, boy, I don't know.
career change from financial advisor to real estate. I've gone through Ignite before, but there's some parts I thought would be helpful for me to review again. And I'm still, relatively new here. And been licensed since the end of the summer.
Licensed since the end of the summer. And, okay, now I'm having trouble with this, Jordan. Zoom is so terrible. But it connects us. Who knows where I should go here? You're not even seeing that, okay.
Jordan.
Jordan, is that the door I heard?
Yeah.
I'm a Mac guy.
When did she come?
I'm a Mac guy, so this is totally
All I heard is Jordan.
Jordan. So where did all my, so this should reflect this, shouldn't it?
So that is just what they're seeing. So
Uh-huh.
then you can do,
I know I shouldn't minimize that.
oh, you're fine. This one has the speaker notes.
Yeah, I will not need those.
Okay, so do you just want the normal one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want that to coordinate.
It's hard to screen share. Dun, dun, dun.
Now you just have to-
Yep. It's so funny because I'm really, let's see, oh no, okay. I'm really bad at using
Martha, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Martha Baleg. I was in Caldwell Bunker. I just moved last month. And enjoying in January. So nothing. Enjoying the family of Keller Williams. I love it.
Martha, how long were you with CB?
4 years, almost 4 years.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna write that down here.
Jane, my husband is a financial planner too.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of overlapping I'm finding.
Yeah. It's a lot of challenge right there,
Is what?
but a lot of challenge
Yes.
to survive in that business too.
There you go.
Is this what you wanted?
That looks right, right?
Oh, except they can see that one. I don't know why it won't let me just do the presentation. Zoom does not like me.
Lisa, you're up next, okay?
Paul, I'm still driving, and so I will do without I gotta have my hands on a wheel. I think everybody who's on the Ignite has been since the very first day of Ignite. My name was with the excuse me, I almost said Kelly Williams. I've been with the Kelly Williams since February
Oh,
1, just a little over a month, just after my 5 years. And before that, I actually went to school for finance. I was a banker for 16 years, and I decided that was not the career path I want to be in. And then after that, I studied interior design. So I did that for many years, which I still do. And I do my own listing staging and things when I have time. And I also have been in a construction managing business for about 20 years. So I love everything about the homes and inside and out. And I'm very, very grateful to have joined Carol Williams. Andy's great, Jordan, Heather. I have not met any of those ladies yet, or Andy. Looking forward to meeting them in person soon. Maybe I can, Martha and I can join you guys in person tomorrow. We'll talk to her, see if the schedule's gonna work out.
That would be amazing because despite our best efforts, I minimized the window and now we're struggling to get it back. So
Don't worry.
I think we can all agree that real estate is best face to face, but it is a global pandemic, so we're aware of that. Thank you, Lisa. Can I ask you? You kind of cut out earlier. Did you say you spent 5 years in real estate?
Yes, 5 years.
With a different brokerage?
Actually, when I got licensed, I was with a sole broker agent, and I was with him for about a year, and then we got called in by Coldwell Banker, and we looked into that, and at the time it was a perfect match for us. And so I've been with them since 2017, so just about 3 years, and now we're with a new family.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. So yeah, there's some experience here in this call. Yanis, did you want to go?
Yes, my name is Janet, and I'm being a realtor with Keller Williams for 13 months. I also work as a phlebotomist in Minnesota, in the University of Minnesota Medical Center. As you can see, I'm still with my scrubs. So, and I love both jobs, and it's getting kind of hard right now because I'm getting busier with real estate. So I'm thinking about maybe getting a part-time at the hospital, and we'll see what happens.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I think last up is Beth.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Beth, are you with us on Zoom?
I am.
Hey. Fire away, Beth.
Hey guys, I'm Beth Jackson. I've been licensed since the very last days of 2020, so a couple months. And I currently own a childcare business, which I'm closing down 4 months from yesterday. Not that I'm Xing off days on the calendar or anything, but yeah, that's kind of my story. I'm excited for the next chapter.
Okay, congratulations for moving on up in the world in a way, into the land of the adults or something like that. I don't know. That's probably not appropriate to say, is it?
No, it is. It totally is. Trust me.
No, I've been around kids. I know how intense that is. Thank you very much. Did we miss anybody? We've got Carrie on the program today, but she's not really a realtor participant. So, okay, cool. Well, without further ado, I'll say a little bit about who I am. Why am I here teaching an Ignite class? Who am I? I'm Paul Olson. I'm with the Odd Couple team. And I've been in real estate in various capacities for 12 years. I was licensed in 2004 at the ripe age of 19 and worked with CB Burnett in Stillwater for 4 years. And then the crisis of 09, 10, 11, 12 was kind of in full swing when I took a break, put my license on ice, did something crazy, which I'm going to tie into all this. I moved to Las Vegas and I became a professional poker player for 2 years. And that was great, but why am I bringing that up? It's because A, I've always had an entrepreneurial drive, and I think we all probably share that. And B, the reason I stopped doing that isn't because I wasn't good at it. It's not because I wasn't making money at it. It's because I found it to have zero value in the world. What I was doing was sitting at a table with people who had less skill than me at a game and slowly taking their money away from them and just sitting all day long. And the people who sit at these tables and would ideally give me their money the hard way, were typically kind of degenerates who spend a lot of time in casinos or expect to lose money. And it's just, it didn't do anything for the world. So I hated it. So that didn't last too long. I played in Las Vegas in a live setting for a little over a year, and then I switched to online play and didn't like that at all. I preferred live, so I quit. I moved back here, and I immediately was hired to manage a portfolio of apartment buildings with a small commercial brokerage / management company called Minnesota Brokerage Group. So I was a salaried with bonus property manager of a ever-shifting, evolving, expanding, contracting portfolio of multi-unit residential buildings. Got into a little bit of Section 42 subsidized housing, but that just did not feed my entrepreneurial spark, even though I had a staff of 6 people full-time. The challenges of the communities I managed were really engaging, exciting. But what was happening for those 6 years that I was managing apartments? The recession was in recovery, and real estate since arguably 2013 has been on fire. If you look at the valuation graphs, we're all familiar with that. It's that moment on the roller coaster where it's chick, 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 chick going up to the pinnacle, and we're not quite even there yet to the apex. So we'll see when we get there. And when it does shift and things take a different shape, you're all in a great position to survive and thrive at that time and gain market share. So I want to congratulate everyone on the call for being part of Keller Williams in general. Not only that, but Roseville, a high integrity group of people, not only in name. I've been with the Odd Couple team in this brokerage for, I think my 4-year anniversary is coming up this year. So 3 3.75 years. I got back from apartments into this in 2016, and I spent 1.5 years with a tiny brokerage. Sounds like similar to Lisa. And rather than transition from that brokerage in a happy way to CBB like Lisa did, unfortunately, the owner broker of that small brokerage was going through a horrific divorce. And that really sidelined her activities and mental landscape. So I had to jump ship. I held on as long as I could. And thank goodness I got on such a great team, the Odd Couple team. So that's a little bit about myself.
Paul,
Yeah.
did you say the odd team?
Odd Couple team.
Okay.
Yep. Have you heard that? Have you heard of our team?
Aren't they come from, weren't they in CBB like 3 years ago?
Nope. We've been with Keller for a while.
Okay. So it's not them.
Yeah. The Odd Couple team has, I think now we're up to 13 licensed agents and 4 full-time admin and 1 part-time admin. And we are growing, and we're looking to expand this year as well. We're notoriously slow in our growth, and our turnover for agents, both because our team rocks, but also because this brokerage rocks, is notoriously low. We've got one of the lowest levels of turnover of any team in the metro, actually. We know that through our coach who can track these things. So let's see, let's talk about business real quick. I'm a busy agent. My team allows me to do a higher volume, but I still have to generate the vast majority of my own business. So there is this misconception out there that if you're on a team, that the team likely passes you leads that are super warm and just what we call come list me leads. And that's just typically not the case. What a team will typically do for you in terms of lead gen is cast a net out into the marketplace for a fee, which you all can do through Keller Command in the same way, basically. And then you have to work those leads diligently, daily, weekly, annually. You know, there's leads I've worked for 3 years, finally got it. And so being on a team doesn't necessarily mean that I can't speak to prospecting, scripting, and the value proposition. Those are all topics that we're going to cover in today's Ignite class. And as I was saying earlier, this is a little bit of a different class, I think, because it's more about the philosophy of what we do in the market rather than the specific actions that we take. So today, you may have seen in your materials, we're going to be looking at the qualities of who we are and what we bring to the table. Because if you individually do not have a specific value proposition to bring to the market and to bring to your clients and to bring to your sphere, why should they use you? I mean, that is literally the last question we ever want going through the public's mind, but more importantly, the minds of our leads and our sphere, okay? So before we dive in fully, does anyone have any questions for each other, for me, about anyone's background, or how this is all gonna work today? Or raise your hand. Okay. Well, let's dive in. Who amongst us today of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9-ish participants would like to take a moment, have the floor, and say 1 or 2 things that they're grateful for in terms of the transition to real estate and Keller Williams?
Hi, Paul. I have
No
a
one
question.
volunteers, I'm going to pick someone. Okay.
The amazing coaching and training is forefront of my mind.
The amazing coaching and training has been forefront in Gabby's mind.
Or Susie.
Sorry, wait.
Yep, and that's
You're Gabby, sorry.
And that's why we chose Keller Williams.
Yep.
Yeah, it's known for that.
So Susie and Elizabeth are a mother-daughter team, and they specifically chose Keller Williams for the quality of coaching. Was there anything else
And
you?
training.
And training, yep, awesome. I'm sure you mirror that, Elizabeth. Anything you want to add to that?
I feel like what stands out to me is how warm and welcoming everybody's been and how willing to help they are and take time out of their day to like help the people.
Awesome.
There.
So Elizabeth is sharing, for anyone who can't hear, that the warmness of agents and staff here has been really a great benefit for her, and the willingness to step up and help out, which I find to be the case as well. When I came over to Keller Williams in 2018, late 2017, I found the same thing to be true, especially with the front desk staff. They've been amazing all the way through. So that speaks to the culture here, I think. It comes from the top down, from Todd and Andy for sure, from people like Shane Montoya, who's active in the leadership of the brokerage as well. Okay. Anybody else want to contribute a bit of gratitude about the transition into real estate so far, and specifically Keller Williams?
I think the willingness of people, I mean, to quote Paul Wellstone, like, we all do better when we all do better. And it doesn't feel, that feels very real to me in this brokerage. And it feels authentic and not contrived, where, you know, sometimes people can say that, but it's not in actuality what's happening.
Thank you, Beth. They say that rising tides raise all ships. And in a super capitalistic way of thinking, what's the good of me being here, taking time out of my busy schedule? Well, it's not just about money. It's about the spirit of the thing. And if we come from contribution, everyone does better. That is so true. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, Paul. I have a question.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, my question is, what's the difference working as a solo agent and working with a team? What's the biggest advantage and disadvantage of that?
Yeah, phenomenal question. What's the biggest difference between working as a solo agent and a team? Well, there's a lot to consider on the financial side, obviously, not only in terms of the amount of work you have to do to gain a dollar, but also in what's going to help you cast the widest net which is something I focus on a lot personally and in training one-on-one with other agents. If we're going to be successful, we have to do volume. If we're going to do volume, we need to cast a net out into the marketplace. And we'll talk about that later. These are obvious fundamental principles. But once our net catches a fish, what's going to help us get the fish from the net to the dinner table, so to speak? What's going to help us with our conversion the most? And what's going to help us, motivate us, and hold us accountable to cast those nets, to get in the boat on a cold morning and go offshore? Maybe there's a storm on the horizon, and toss our lines or nets in the ocean, so to speak. That's why I'm on a team. I need accountability. I'm very, very, very driven personally, but without accountability, there just seems to be a piece missing for me.
Mhm.
So that's the primary reason I'm on a team personally. It's a great question. The other thing about catching the fish, getting it from the net into the boat to the dinner table, to continue with my horrific analogy, is I know that by being on the Odd Couple team, their branding and name recognition in the marketplace has been getting just driven into the minds and subconscious of St. Paul citizens for so long now. I know that my conversion is 10, 20, 30% better having that name behind me than it would be as a solo agent. Obviously, I'm a little biased. The team does a lot for me, but they also, quote unquote, get a lot. In 2019, I sold 46 houses for a total volume of 14.6 million. And in 2020, I was sold 42 for not that much less volume, 14 something. And this year my goal is 52. So there's big numbers in play, but the team takes a split as well.
Mm-hmm.
As a solo agent, I would just feel like I had less accountability, less leads to work, less conversion. But at the same time, I know that each closing would bring me a bigger check. So for you, if you value accountability, if you value team spirit and culture, a team might be something that can really net you more, even though there is another split involved with your commissions. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry if I kind of went on and on about that, but it is a great question. Any agent showing promise with drive and determination and some brains could get picked up by a good team.
I have another question about it.
Yeah.
So like I saw people that are on teams and they say like they are already capped and they are making 100%, you know, like on commissions.
Yep.
So is that still like 100%, or because they are in a team, they are still splitting their commission?
Yes, that's a great question as well. And as Keller Williams has always provided value and motivation for teams to be created, one of the biggest incentives behind creating a team and being on a team is the fact that you cap way quicker than a solo agent would. In fact, I don't know where everyone caps, and I don't think I'm divulging too much to say that I cap after I make Keller Williams $5,000. So it's a very quick cap, but I don't cap with my team. Your mileage may vary looking at other teams. They might have something worked out. I don't think anyone caps on any team, to be honest, but there is an incentive from the top. Yep, from the top, Keller Corporate, all the way down through the brokerages. Anyone on a team is going to have a much lower cap because the total value of the team to Keller is greater than, in theory, all these agents on their own.
And Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically the cut to the group is bigger than the cut to the brokerage would have been as a single agent, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm kind of in the middle strata on our team. I've been promoted to a quasi leadership position on our team. So I've been learning more about the numbers that at work behind our team specifically, and what other coaches and team leaders around the country are saying. It might even be in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, is that anything less than the team getting 50% of all commissions from their agents is gonna put them underground. A team will have a very hard time surviving if they give their agent more than 50% of any given commission. That's the general consensus in the marketplace. Now, teams that provide very little value, teams in name only, I'd say, that's going to be different. But for example, the Odd Couple team has 2 offices. You know, we own our own office on Grand, massive marketing budget, incredible branding. We host events, tons of cool stuff. That all costs a lot of money. And not to mention, I have a full-time transaction coordinator behind me. I think I was telling Elizabeth at the open house we did the other day that without a transaction coordinator backing me the whole way, I'd be in the 30s each year in terms of transaction count. I despise the back office work, the paperwork, dotting each I and crossing each T drives me nuts. I want to be out there selling. I want to be meeting people. And I'm an introvert, as we talked about. So like, I know that there's other people out there who would gain incredible value from a transaction coordinator. When you start, maybe you already are, but when you start getting some momentum in the field, do not hesitate to pull that trigger when the time is right to get a transaction coordinator of some kind to do that back office stuff if it's not your strength. Because not only will it bog down your time, it'll bog down your emotional landscape. If you're frustrated doing certain work that has to be done with deadlines and you screwed something up, oh my God, and you've got 8 pending on the board and it's a fiasco. Invest in a transaction coordinator. And that's their value proposition. So let's wrap it all back. Thanks for the great questions. We're literally on page 1 still of my guide here. So we're actually going to get into the class, if that's okay with everyone. And suffice to say that the whole point of why we're here today is to focus on your value proposition, to help you define that and bring it to your customers and community, okay? So we're going to help define that today. We're going to go over some of the essential things that a realtor should think about in terms of delivering their value. And we're going to go over some of the more foundational components of a successful realtor's business. So does everybody have their Ignite guide? Spark 6, deliver your value proposition. I printed it. Does anyone not have this ready to go? No. Cool. So if I could have you turn to page 3, that's going to be the first prompt, but I actually have a slide here. And we're going to start with the basic stuff that successful agents do every day. And it's funny because my facilitator guide here has, you know, prompts and scripts on it. And right out of the gate, I'm going to disagree with my guide. And this comes from the top of Keller Williams. And your mileage may vary, but here's what it says, everyone. It says, here's the secret to being a successful realtor, that there is no secret. I disagree with that. But it goes on to say, luckily, that success leaves clues. So we know exactly what successful agents do every day. I do agree with that. And so I wanted to sort of pause right there after line 1 and ask the audience, both on Zoom and here in person, what is a realtor to you? And what's the main part of your job? What does a realtor do, in your opinion? Can I have someone from Zoom speak to that question? And there really is no wrong answer. Go ahead and just say something.
I will say to be of value to people that wants to buy a house.
Yep. Yep. Good. Anything you want to add to that?
You know, like, so we went to school. We know more than a lot of people, and I think we should take advantage of that and help people understand how is the process, and like teach everything that we know. That's it.
To the public, to our clientele.
Yeah.
I agree. If we don't have value in the marketplace, and if we don't provide value to our clients, why are we there? Okay. Who is next? Someone on Zoom. Kate.
Yeah, I would say we provide a service sort of on that same line. We educate the consumer, whether it's a listing or a buy, and just kind of connect them with opportunities out in the market that they might not be aware of if they were not using a realtor or trying to do it themselves.
Fantastic. Hidden opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's not just hidden houses, pre-market houses that no one knows about. That's elements of negotiation, tricks of the trade, bringing value in that way. I love that. Who's next? Someone on Zoom.
Oh, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I thought this is 5th class, but you're looking at the material from number 6 on Spark. Is that correct?
Yep, this is Spark 6, deliver your value proposition, but I do have a really good script we're going to do later.
Okay. All right. I point there. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, stick with us, Lisa. We're going to script. I really believe in scripting. It sucks, or it can suck. It really intimidates people, but once again, we want to screw up in here and not out in the world. Anybody in the classroom, what does a realtor actually do?
Educate.
Educate. Educate the consumers. Yep. Okay.
And advocate.
Advocate. That's right. For our client.
Yeah.
Yep. They're sending you in the ring to fight for them.
Yep.
Agreed. We got one left in the audience here. What does a realtor do?
They make connections with people, meaningful connections and relationships.
They make meaningful connections with people. Fantastic. So these are all true. They're all great answers, and they're all part of the value that we bring to the market and to our clientele. Now I'm gonna drill in just a little bit further and challenge you just a little bit more. What is the daily thing that a realtor should have in their wheelhouse, that they're in their daily routine? That one thing that enables all this to happen. What would that be? Someone from Zoom.
Lead generation.
Got a couple lead generations. Okay, why?
Prospecting.
Prospecting. Why? Why is that your answer?
Connections.
Yep. Who wants to, whoever has said an answer, lead gen, connections, prospecting, why do you say that? Why is that the one thing?
It's
the potential. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
I was just gonna say it's because the business is always ongoing, even as you're buying and selling, for clients or with clients, I guess is a better term, but with clients, you still need to keep the ongoing potentials coming, and some of it, like you mentioned at the beginning, you can work with someone for a couple of years before they're actually ready to buy or sell.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you. Did anyone else have anything to speak to that? Why prospecting? Why lead gen? Why connections?
To grow our business.
You got it. So what if
That's
I
what's
told you?
paid tomorrow, Paul.
Oh, awesome. Well, what if I told you that if I had to be put on the spot and I was asked by anyone on earth, what do you do? What does a realtor do? This group actually did well. I would not say I show houses. I would not say I list houses for sale. I would not say I do anything with houses. I would say that I provide value to human beings and a service to them, which we covered on the first round when everyone said we educate, we provide opportunities, we advocate, we make meaningful connections. And if anybody asks me, okay, well, how does that take shape in your life? What do you actually mean? What does a realtor, a successful realtor actually do? I would say I make connections. That's it. A successful realtor, the one quality that's going to set them apart more than anything is casting a wide net effectively. So for anyone on this call who is new to the business, I don't know if that excites you or if that depresses you. Real estate actually has very little to do with houses if you want to be successful. If you want to have a side job or a hobby because you love architecture, you love the history in homes, you love the feeling of home, all of these cool things, you love landscaping, interior design, you're just turned on by the idea of real estate, that is fine. But for anyone who wants to excel in a career at this, it really doesn't have much to do with houses. It has to do with connections. And second to that, a high level of service. But connections are everything. So on the slide that you can see that they've provided for us from Austin, Texas, what do successful agents do every single day? They grow their business and they run their business. Unfortunately, and I'm guilty of this too, as Lisa Prince, her Ignite guide, we oftentimes get caught up in the running of the business and we let the growing of the business go to the back burner. And honestly, you guys, everyone does that. I office right next to Shane Montoya, the founder of our team every day. The guy in his heyday was selling 40 million on his own, I think, with one assistant. And that's what created our successful team. He's so good. And I've seen him put running the business before growing the business. We all do it. But if there's one single takeaway that I can give any new realtor, it's what I just shared with you, which we collaborated on, and you said without any prompt. The single most important thing to being a successful full-time realtor is lead gen, prospecting, and making connections. And those were your answers. So my hat's off to you on that, okay? So does this slide make sense to everyone? I mean, this is kind of the basic stuff. Grow your business, lead generate, make appointments, listing appointments and buyer appointments. Here they're calling them presentations. Get buyers signed on, get listings signed on, because that's when it goes from a fish in the ocean to a fish in your net. And then sell that bad boy. Get that buyer into a house or sell that listing. And that's what takes the fish from the net and puts it on your table. And it's not just your table, it's everyone sharing in a feast, because you're in Keller Williams, you're at this brokerage, and you're in this Ignite class run by good instructors. You are going to have a higher value proposition for your clients than other agents out there in the world. That's a fact. The more quality that you bring to the table and the less desperate you are because you're gaining success, and the more you surround yourself with successful agents and do what they do, and the more you script, the better your results are going to be on the sales of people's homes. I've helped out a lot of new agents on our team get rolling, and it usually takes months. And there are some dark nights in there. Let me tell you, I remember too, when I transitioned from multifamily management back to full-time sales with a small brokerage, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have a penny of income for about 4 months. And I know that a lot of you could be in that same position. But hopefully we've got support around us, and I had money in savings and a little bit of faith. But I've seen new agents coming up, getting momentum, And the number one thing I've told them when I've seen that anxiety, heard that fear in their voice, you know, is this going to work? I haven't had a closing. I'm on month 2. First thing I say is that's normal. Look what's happened for me. You know, look what's happened for anyone who's made it. But also the answer to your anxiety when you are feeling like you have very little momentum going in this in the beginning is volume. So I don't know if you want to write this down, but the cure to all anxiety in your real estate career is volume. And I don't just mean sales volume. I mean the volume of calls you'll make today, because that's what leads to sales volume. I mean the volume of one-to-ones that you have with successful realtors to pick their brains, to network. The volume of times when you're at Dunn Brothers and you're talking to someone working that you say, I'm a realtor just up the street. Are you renting? Do you own a home? That one little thing can create a client for life at the coffee shop. So volume, volume, volume. And I guarantee you, spinning wheels do eventually throw rocks, to use another terrible analogy. Even someone who isn't very skilled at making connections, because believe me, there are successful realtors out there who I would never want to have a cocktail with. They're insufferable. The answer to all this is volume. Even if you're not very skilled in relating to people, you can still make it in this business. Okay? So that's just a little bit of personal value that I want to bring to you today for anyone who's feeling a little uncertain as a new agent. I get it. It can be very scary. But if you do the right things, which we're going to touch on today and in other classes, there is no reason you can't succeed. Okay? Any questions on any of that? Okay. So some of the things I touched on here are in the run portion for sure. We kind of focused on the value of the growing side. But the running side, you'll see that items 6, 8, I wish there were more. These things have to do with, you know, learning and growing, setting goals to achieve them. That's all in there and what I was trying to communicate earlier. All right, so here's the allegedly 1-hour session that we're going to be starting here. It's our roadmap for the day. We're going to define what a value proposition is. And then we're going to explore the 3 essential aspects of the service we provide. And then we're going to dig into your unique qualities of value. And then we're going to craft your value proposition. Okay? A value proposition, by definition, is a simple and precise description of the benefits that your customers will get from working for you. Okay? Your value propositions should clearly convey all the things you do to earn the commission that you get. And by the way, you guys, we are up against the wall on this because people out in the world, non-realtors, think we are making so much money off of these commissions. You're gonna find 2 people out of 100 that actually get that there's splits involved. You know, oh my gosh, you take your listings at 6%, that's so much money. Well, what if I told you that of that 10K commission, I'm actually only making 2,000? You know, so we're kind of up against that. So they think we make scads of money, and we can, and we do, but not to the degree that they think. And so we really do need to drive our value proposition to make it all worth it. And we do that by service, and we do that by something I'll get into off script later, which is delivering higher levels of performance than they would get elsewhere. Okay? So who here has heard about a competing brokerage out in the world that will take listings for, I don't know, throw something out there, 4%? Who's heard of that?
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Yep. Yep. And do you think that the consumers have heard about those too?
Yes.
Yep. And so who wants to volunteer an opinion on how that reflects on us as Keller Williams agents who are more full service oriented?
Well, I can.
Okay.
Well, I experienced this recently. I went to a listing appointment and this woman had interviewed a few other realtors and she was telling me all the different percentages they were telling her they would charge. And one of them was 5%, one of them was like 4.5. And so when I said 6, it made me, I tried to explain why, and what kind of like we're talking about today, my value proposition was, but to kind of come after those first 2 that were lower, it was definitely kind of like an uphill battle. So for me, I just had to kind of talk about what in my situation, like what the Highland team brings to her as a service that would get the job done, quickly and efficiently and get her the most money. So anyway, it was just kind of hard for me because I was just coming after those first 2.
Yeah, and how'd you do, Kate?
Well, I'm waiting to hear back. I'm following up with her. I sent her a thank you card and I called her and, I think that I tried to explain kind of what you were just mentioning, that half of it goes to the buying agent and then some of it goes to the brokerage. And then, after I explained all the things that we like to do for our clients, I think she got it more than she had before. So just waiting to hear back. I don't know.
Yep.
No.
And Kate, at any point in this process with this potential listing, did you sort of make any implications or educate this person on the different levels of service that a discount broker would provide compared to you on the Highland team?
Yeah, so, well, I don't know if I did it exactly right, but what I told her was that, with what we provide, it's a lot of marketing and we do like a video and she'd be on the MLS to get more exposure. And we have a really great photography company we work with. And I just tried to kind of tell her what we're spending some money on in terms of marketing and that it was all for the end goal for her to sell her house quickly for the most money she could. So, I don't know if those other ones don't do that, but I was just kind of trying to focus on what we do.
Yep. Right. So you nailed it, Kate, especially towards the end there when you're talking about what's the benefit to the client. That is absolutely everything we do. We are here to perform for our clients. And that ties directly into our value proposition. If our value proposition is about us, which, by the way, it's fine to have your own goals and your own motivations specifically to do what you do. But in order to be good at what you do, the value proposition that you provide to your clientele needs to be strong, clear, and demonstrable, able to be demonstrated. And Kate was doing that a little bit, it sounds like, in a listing presentation recently. And she was up against some discount brokerages. So I assume everyone here has access to the MLS. Is that right?
Yep.
You've been cruising through properties, looking at a million pictures, sales records, tax records, etc. It's so much fun. How many people here have seen a listing that had atrocious pictures? Pretty much everyone? Yeah.
Yes.
Whether it was the lighting, it looks like a dungeon, it's dark, all the windows are shut, no lights on, the angle, the graininess, whatever. Some idiot with no skill on their phone from 2009 took these pictures and put them out there for the entire world to see, to sell this property. And you know what? Usually that's a discount brokerage. When you're cruising through the MLS for fun or for work, and you see some terrible pictures, scroll down to the bottom of the listing and see what brokerage it is and what agent it is. And just know that that's not the way you're going to do business and that realtor provided a disservice to his or her client. That's calling it in and doing a crap job on something that's so simple. Kate mentioned great professional photography. We all know the value of that. So all this to say, we're using the example that Kate gave and that I started out by bringing up discount brokerages versus us. Keller Williams has a reputation for doing things the right way, for delivering high quality, high value to our clients. And that's why we're here. And that is the core of the value proposition. We're going to talk about the value proposition in a little bit more general way, but know that it can kind of look like a hierarchy. You can have a general value proposition to the market, and you can also have more specific value propositions to buyers. And you can dial in further from there. First-time home buyers might have a different, slightly different value proposition than more experienced ones, downsizers, etc. On listings, you'll have a very different value proposition than on the buyer's side because they're different animals. We're going to focus more on the global, more general value proposition today. So once again, a value proposition is a simple, precise description of the benefits that your customers will get from working with you. And it should clearly convey all the things you do to earn that big, fat, juicy, rich commission that they all think you're making on this 100K condo you're selling. You know, you're going to go to Tahiti with all that money, right? So based on the very general conversation so far, can I ask one person to step up and say how they think having an established, clear value proposition by the end of today's class will benefit them in their business moving forward? Let's go, studio audience, one of the three. Keep you on your toes. Once again, how will having prepared a value proposition today help you with your business moving forward?
I can take the heat off of somebody there if they want, Paul.
Beth, I'm going to call on you next, okay? We've got to take her.
I didn't think it.
I like that. No, I really like that, Beth. And we're coming to you.
Well, we're just in the process of writing our bio and working on our website and all that, and I think that this is perfect time.
So they're sharing that their mother-daughter team is sharing that they're writing their bio right now, and this is perfect timing for that because it is kind of like a it can be like a tag part of your tagline or your mission statement, right? Okay.
So it's perfect.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what we need to think about.
Want to add to that, Elizabeth?
I feel like being very clear about your value and what you are really bringing to your clients sets you apart in the market. And,
Clarity.
It like makes you stand out compared to like a lot of realtors that are
Perfect.
very specific, generic.
Yeah. Right. So Elizabeth in our studio audience today is talking about something that is so true. There is a sea of realtors out there, isn't there? It feels like I sometimes say this to people at the listing table before they've even signed. You can't go out the front door and wave a dead cat in the air without hitting 10 realtors, it seems like, right? Not that we'd ever have a dead cat in our hand, but Elizabeth says that just by having a clear value proposition, we're setting ourselves apart from the field. And honestly, that's so true because most of the field doesn't have the slightest idea what the heck they're doing. Beth, your turn.
I think just thinking out loud, I'm stumped at the same spot that Susie and Elizabeth are trying to write my little short and long bio. But for me, having joined the Vaz Harwood team really helps me focus on, like, I think the older I get and the older my circle continues to age, I think we become more and more conscious of who we're spending our money with. Especially because I think even 2020 really focused that even further for me personally. And like, you can kind of flip around like the old saying, not all money is good money, right? Well, maybe not all clients are good clients for me. And like Vaz Harwood has a really unique mission, focusing on equity and housing, and that was always kind of what I wanted to do but didn't know how to do it or didn't know how like that was even a thing. So for me, I'm going to focus, I don't know it yet, but that's what I'm going to focus on with what the value I bring is that things.
Totally. So yeah, again, perfect timing, Beth. And your team is very strong with a very clear mission out there. you know, she makes it very clear, doesn't she? She is a strong person, and we love that.
But, you
So
know,
the-
frankly, some people don't. And, you know, I'm good with that too, right?
Yep. That ties in with what you said earlier about not every client is a client you're going to want to take. It has to fit both ways. Yep, straight from the studio audience here. And I have fired clients too. And especially when you're new, it seems like insanity to do that.
And, you know,
I'll
I
tell you
come
what.
from like a service industry. So
Yep.
it's like, I think people often think in my current world, like, you're not just interviewing me, right? Like, I'm interviewing you to see if you're a fit into my little community. So I think I can extend that into my real estate business. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know, maybe all money is good money. I don't know.
No, Beth, you're absolutely right. 100%, because a bad client will prevent you from meeting two great clients. So I really applaud you on that. And the goal is to get you all to that point as soon as possible, where you can imagine, you know what, I'm going to pass on this 500K listing.
Yeah,
These
I
people-
wasn't always there in this business either. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, that took a long time.
100%. I got there on year 10, I think. So anybody else?
First of all, I totally agree with what Beth has just said, you know, and what we're saying right now is that it really is a two-way street. If you're enthused about the people you're working for with, you know, your clients, then it seems like the extra good service will automatically follow.
That's
But
true.
writing the value proposition, I think psychologically it's important, because if you write down why you're important and why, you know, why you can, well, add a lot of value to what you do, then it's easier to really, really believe it.
Absolutely. And it's easier for them to believe it too.
Right.
Because look at what's on our screen right now. You're speaking to number 2 and honestly, number 3 as well. When you deliver on that promise to deliver that level of service, it's like an unspoken bond between you and your client. And so your value proposition that you're setting now, maybe without even having any clients or any deals in your hopper, can end up leading to a client circling back 7 years from now, just because of the sensation of that bond, which is the best business you can have. Because how are you going to develop and execute a value proposition without having deep personal value and integrity wrapped up in it, right? Thank you. That was great. Well, let's get into it. The three steps that they're going to have us kind of follow here as a narrative is to describe a simple and precise description of the benefits of working with you. Shoot, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize this thing was in the way. And that's for everyone, isn't it? Okay. And then we're going to work on being able to clearly convey what we'll do to earn the fee we charge, which is totally wrapped up in the question of value. And then we're going to make a covenant out of it. We're going to make our value proposition a sort of a bond or a connection, a deeper connection between you and the client. Okay, so real quick, a little aside here about Gary Keller, because he's our famous leader. And did anyone do family reunion recently? Yeah, got some yeses, some nods. What did you see at family reunion? You saw this kind of boogeyman that's now forcing itself into our space, almost like a little virus. And they want your market share. And there he was, you know, being a dynamic individual, a genius, frankly, who is immediately trying to understand it and respond to it. So my hat's off to Gary Keller. It says here that when he was researching his famous agent book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, he noted that the top producing agents he spoke with had a deep and inherent sense of service. So the idea is you can't grow a successful real estate business if you don't prioritize the client experience above your own, right? As realtors, we get into this business for many reasons. But if we're going to be effective at our job, we need to put the client's experience above all else. A stellar experience is how you earn your commission and get referrals. I don't know about you, Kate, or anyone else on the call, but when I am working in the middle of a transaction with a client, I'm thinking the whole way through about 3, 6, 10 years down the road for them. I'm remembering my actions and the way this deal is going because it's going to sit in their psyche for as long as they're in that house. And it will be a factor in whether or not they use me again. How many people buy a house and stay there for the rest of their lives? Very few. And how many people buy a house, stay there for the rest of their lives, and talk to no one? That's probably 0 humans, right? Maybe 1 or 2 on Earth. They talk to other people about the process the whole time they live there. You know, when I was buying my house, my realtor and I wound up doing this cool they're going to refer to me. So it's not just the details of the current transaction that matter. It's the whole big picture. So let's talk about 3 aspects of service: knowing the underlying purpose of real estate, having a compelling value proposition, and fiduciary. This is kind of weird how they lay this out, but here it is. Once again, we want to know the underlying purpose of our profession. We've already hit on it a bit, and you've done great. We want to have and communicate a clear value proposition. And as a fiduciary, we want to exhibit a continual drive to put the client's needs above all else, often above our own, in fact. When it's 11 p.m. and the other side has not gotten back to you on your inspection asks.
Those ones are fun.
Those are really fun. I was in this the other 2 nights ago, and it's 11 p.m. and you're sweating bullets and you're sending a cancellation to have your buyers pre-sign in case you need it at 11:55 p.m. Would I have rather been sleeping? Yes, I would have. So let's get into those 3 things. It's, once again, purpose, value proposition, and fiduciary. What is the underlying purpose of real estate as a profession for us? What's the underlying purpose of what we're doing here? And what the client's trying to do too. And it is different for buyers and sellers. So what do you think that let's poll the audience again. What do you think some of the primary purposes of buying real estate is for your average buyer? Why do they do it? Speak up. What motivates people?
They want to better their situation, their living situation.
Equity.
Yep, they want a better environment to live in, generate equity.
Investment.
They want to have a good investment that'll perform well over the years. Studio audience. They want to sort of elevate their status, feel like they're kind of moving up in the world. Yep. Cool. Yeah, and then all that other life stuff that happens, changes in familial status, having kids, divorce, death, you know? Pets even, that's a big one too. Yeah, I just got a dog a few months ago and I'm already thinking about having my own yard because I live in an apartment building that I own. Well, for buyers, one of the biggest things we can help them with that's most important to them is helping them find the right home. Not just the right home, but at the best price, which is very challenging right now. And a lot of that has to do with setting expectations. We're going to get into, in a couple slides here, the polling that has been done in the last few years about what the highest value qualities of a realtor that buyers and sellers are looking for. So we'll touch on that. But let me ask you this. Speak up, raise your hand. What happens to your client's buying or selling experience if you don't understand your underlying purpose of being a realtor? What do you think happens in their experience? Kate?
Frustration. I would say frustration.
What are they
Just a lot of
frustrated
ambiguity.
Mm-hmm. Unclear.
Yeah.
Yep. Anybody want to add to that?
Oh, I like to
Add
answer
to that. They're going to be trusting you to help guide their ship through stormy waters, and the destination is the largest financial transaction of their lives. I think something like 90% of people in the US buying and selling real estate is the largest financial transaction they'll ever do. So you better have some value and you better know what your underlying purpose in being a realtor is. Is that right? And it's the same thing, but a little different with sellers. A buyer wants you to guide them to the right home for the right price with the least amount of hassle and issues. A seller wants you to achieve the highest sale price and keep their home safe and guide them through the process with is minimal worry, concern, fear in the quickest amount of time possible. So is anybody comfortable stepping up? Someone other than me and Kate, because Kate, I see you every day in the office. I know you're if as a realtor or a consumer, an example of a problem that you've had in a real estate transaction and what you did to overcome it. Is anybody comfortable doing that? That can be as someone bought or sold real estate as well, not just as a realtor.
What's the question? I wasn't listening, sorry.
Yeah, basically the question, appreciate the honesty, Beth. I do ramble, I'm sorry. The question is, would anybody volunteer an example of a real estate transaction that has kind of gone sideways, a problem that emerged that was then solved, either as a realtor or as a consumer? Anybody? Come up front. Come on. You're gonna get on camera because I can't repeat a long story. I can repeat little things. Gabby is stepping up, people. Can I get some high fives and clap? There we go.
Well, I will say that in my last transaction that I had, that the house wasn't valued, the price that we appraisal, price that we offer. So it was kind of stressful at the moment for being like the first transaction. So, but I learned a lot and managed to keep the price where it's supposed to. And I don't know.
How'd you do it?
Well, I had to work with my my percent, but at the same time, like I talked with my client as well. So we were like, we talk about it with the possibility of like maybe moving forward to find another property or like simply just figure out depending, because we talked with the other agent and we agreed she took half, I took half, and that way like I didn't lose that much. And
so everyone stick with me. Gabby, on her first ever transaction, you were repping the buyer, correct? Okay, had the buyer, and unfortunately the property did not appraise for what they wrote in the purchase agreement. Unfortunately, this is common in a booming market, seller's market. And that is a very legitimate problem and a great example, so I'm thankful for that. And they were able to have the hard conversation on her side of, do we just move on? Or do we really think outside of the box and find a way to make these numbers work? Not only did they find a way to make the numbers work, but Gabby was able to share in that burden with the other realtor. So that's some good salesmanship right there, saleswomanship. And it worked out. And has it closed?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, fully closed.
No, she's so happy with her house.
Can we ask how far off the appraisal was?
5,000.
Okay, you guys, that's a huge gap. Thank you. That's a great example. Watch your step. $5,000 off on appraisal. That's pretty good size. And regardless of what you think about how the best way to bridge that gap is, no judgments, they got it closed. Her buyer is now in that house that they fell in love with. And that is literally the perfect example of all that matters. Have I shaved my commission to make something work because it's what my client needed and they couldn't take it anymore? Tons of times. And I have zero regrets. That is something I've had to work on at certain times when I was newer back re-entering the business, but it has a time and place. So great example. I think we'll move on. That was such a good example. We can't top that. Okay. So Val, good job, Gabby. I wish I had prizes. Give you a marker. So speaking of value proposition, let's define what it is. Your value proposition should distill your service offerings into a succinct set of benefits for your client. It states what you do for the client to earn your commission, and it helps explain the complexity of what you do. It also helps hold you accountable, which we were talking about earlier in the studio audience, to your high standards. So as we reflect a little bit on this, what do you see as the value of your value proposition? Why is it important enough to be included in those three aspects of service that I'll go back to here? Any takers on that question? That's kind of general. And we haven't even done our value proposition yet, but I think I'll skip that one. Why do you see the value of your value proposition? We did touch on that earlier. It's that it establishes that bond that you have with your client. They really trust you through it. It helps you establish from the get-go. We've got a couple newer teams and team members here who are working on a mission statement or working on their branding. It helps set the standards of your practice, if you will. So let's give an example of someone who doesn't really fully understand the scope of a value proposition, but does have serious value in the world. What if I were to ask a bilingual realtor what their value proposition is in the market? And their response was, well, I'm fluent in English and Spanish, let's say, or I'm bilingual. Well, true, but does that really speak to the value that you offer a client? I would say no. And so they've given us a really great example here of how that same exact thing can be rephrased to shift our thinking a little bit. So instead of saying, okay, my value proposition is I'm bilingual, you could say something to the effect of, I have access to a larger pool of potential buyers for your home, Mrs. Seller, who are often overlooked and I would say underserved by other agents. Or the agents representing that pool, that subset of buyers, are not able to communicate with them as effectively as I could. Do you see value in appealing to that massive growing group of people that would consider purchasing your home, Mrs. Seller? Yeah. Right, so we just took a very minimal example of something that can be wrapped into our value proposition. So let's go ahead and craft our own value proposition statement. But before we do that, we're going to talk about that final aspect of service. I'll scroll back here. Fiduciary. Well, that sounds intimidating. What's that? The third and final aspect of service is fiduciary. So what's a fiduciary and how is it different than a functionary? I'm not going to ask the audience on that. That is way too technical. So we'll just walk through this little exercise they've prepared for us at KW. Think back to middle school English class. Fiduciary is unfortunately both an adjective and a noun. As an adjective, it refers to something dealing with trust, especially relationships. So I'm fiduciary, or the nature of a thing is fiduciary. I have a fiduciary duty to my clients, and so do you, to protect their best interests during what will likely be the largest and most frightening financial transaction in their entire life. As a noun, a fiduciary refers to the person who has that fiduciary obligation, and that's you. You are your client's fiduciary. So what the heck is a functionary? A functionary, in my line of thinking, is more transactional. It's someone who completes tasks for the client, and that's really about it. Whereas a fiduciary completes tasks and goes beyond by placing their client's interests ahead of all others, oftentimes even their own. You see these common threads poking up all the time so far in our time together. What has it been, an hour or two? Service, quality of service, value that we bring. And I love that because it's coming up when I poll the audience too. So clearly being fiduciary is a big deal because it's not just sort of the structure of things, the tasks, it's a whole ecosystem. It's a more holistic approach to having a client that you're servicing. I often think of the differences between realtors and lawyers, just as a personal aside. We are both hired by clients to do a special service for them. They sort of throw us in the ring, so to speak, to fight for them in an environment, in a ring that they don't really know how to fight it, right? I use the word fight. You could substitute that for anything else. Fight is a little bit aggressive. But the truth of the matter is that a buyer wants the best price and a seller wants the highest price. So there is a little bit of an inherent conflict there. And that's what we're hired, one of the many things that we're hired to negotiate for them. A fiduciary has to take in the entire global picture of their client's needs and desires and manage it accordingly, according to state statutes, according to the ethics inherent in our licensing, and probably most importantly, with high integrity and fidelity to the desires and wishes of the client. If you are a starving realtor who's desperate to close a sale, I can tell you it's going to be just a matter of time before that anxiety sinks into the way you represent your client. And without trying to be, doom and gloom or scaring anyone, that's how we end up in front of the commissioner or the Department of Commerce. That's how agents lose their licenses. Once again, by putting their desires above that of the clients. And it's a crazy thing how it can pop up in the most subtle ways. It's usually flying under the radar with that subtle stuff, but there's big horror tales that we hear about all the time too, from reputable agents. I can think of a couple names right off the top of my head that you couldn't pay me to say right now, of people with a phenomenal name that sell multi-million-dollar homes, do high volume, and they are criminals, okay? Because I've met their former clients, and we have had wine together, and they've told me. So to get back to, the difference between a fiduciary and a functionary, I think about the differences between lawyers and realtors. A lawyer can be hired to review documents, even within real estate, and just do a very basic task. And they don't care really. They just want to, perform well, and then it's over. But a fiduciary is really more like a partner. And that's the way I approach my business. And I encourage you to approach it the same way too. To some degree, make friends with your clients. Be hurt if they're hurt. That makes it more real. And that's, to me, at the heart of what a fiduciary does. I am your ally. If I screw up for you, I am going to feel terrible. If I cost you a sale and it's my fault, I'm going to go so far above and beyond to make it up to you. If I was just transactionally minded, like a functionary, next. Okay, we're done. I don't care. Next. That's not the way we want to do business, is it? So it's a big deal, and it's an honor, and it's more important than ever in today's market to wear that badge of honor proudly. Helping your clients understand your fiduciary role is a big part of your value proposition. So we're going to poll the audience once again. Who is going to be brave and speak to this? What are some ways that you as a realtor serve as your client's fiduciary during a transaction? How do you serve as a fiduciary within your client's transaction? Did I see your hand up?
No, I was scratching, but.
You were scratching your back.
Yeah, you have to be, keep it confidential.
Right, great example. Speaking of lawyers.
Loyal.
from the audience, you have to keep your clients' sensitive information confidential. That's fairly often quite black and white. Where it gets a little murky is their intentions and their motivations. You know, does the seller benefit from hearing that my clients are terrified of their lease ending in 2 months and need a place really bad? No. If I let that cat out of the bag, I should be fired, frankly, by that client. That's a horrible thing. That's motivation. Just a quick example. What did you say, Gabby? Loyalty, right. As a fiduciary, we need to be loyal to our clients. They've taken a big risk by signing on with us. Let's see, I got some chats coming through here. Oh yeah, yep. I hear you on the chat. Yep. Well, as a fiduciary, does anybody else have any examples of how we function that way to our clients?
Oh, I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
I've been listening, and as I've said, I've been in the business for 5 years, and last couple of years I haven't done too much for personal reasons. But the experience that I've had, buyers, they tell you what they want, but they don't necessarily know exactly what it is they want. You have to educate them, and sometimes you have to be very careful how that this house is not going to be best value for you. And because when I help my buyers find a home and going through the process, I try to learn as much as I can about what their needs are and what their lifestyle is. Then I can actually interact as it's like a friend of mine asked when I became realtor into a couple of years, so what is it like? Well, I didn't realize I was signing up to be your best friend, your counselor, your sister, your mother, and it's very emotional process. And so for you have to be ready to, when, like Kate's just saying, when you lose multiple offers. I remember this couple of my young, very first time home buyers, they purchased their first home. We wrote 5 offers, and a 6th one did not get accepted. I'm talking to him on the phone at 10 o'clock at night, and this young lady is adorable. She's crying. And so you have to console them in a way that you'll be talking to your best girlfriend, but also you have to take your emotion out, but still feel their emotion. And then what I've done actually worked really well is after you go through however many offers you have submitted, and then one finally gets accepted, and then we celebrate just a small step at a time, inspections and everything else. And afterwards, when it's pending, I sit down with them and I print out all the homes they lost, and I would ask them, so take a look at these, the ones that you were crying about. Do you still think, which one of these homes do you think is the best one? And they, every single time they pick the one they just got. Yep. And I say that there is a reason why those did not get accepted. It was not meant for you. It was not right. This is the best one. I can see you guys living here 5-10 years. And so you build a friendship with them, and they trust you. And then even though sometimes you would suggest things they might not think about, it's your job to actually think about their finance going forward. So when I represent the buyers, I represent them. So when they're going to sell their house, they're not going to even think about calling anybody else but me.
Amen.
So, in order to do that, I have to be totally respectful, genuine, and people know when you're surface. Sorry, I talked a little bit longer than expected.
No, Lisa, that was phenomenal. And I totally agree. How many times have you been there as they lost their 4th offer and they are heartbroken, and you can tell they're thinking about giving up? I often do a similar thing to what you just said. It's just done earlier. Remember the first house we made an offer on? Yeah, it was phenomenal, but this one came along. This one was just as good or better. And there will always be a better house out there. It's just a matter of time. That doesn't mean that the other ones that came first weren't amazing or right for you, but it's funny how fate plays into that. And you really brought value there, Lisa. Don't hesitate to share value like that in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and what you said right from the get-go, I had no idea when I got my license that I'd be a therapist, a scheduler, a transaction manager, a marketing guru, a prospecting machine, an architect, an interior designer, a cleaner. You know, like the amount of hats we have to wear in this business is unbelievable. And if we can pull all those off, we'd have to be superhuman, right? But, you know, we have a professional interior designer in the studio audience today, Elizabeth, and she's done that for years, and I'm sure she's amazing at it. I couldn't hold a candle to that, but I do have enough knowledge there to be dangerous. And I know that my clients have benefited from that. And so think about all the little things, which we're about to get into with our value proposition, that set you apart, that make you unique, that you will share with your clients if and when they need it, if and when it's appropriate. Okay? So let's get into your value proposition. We're going to look at some data around what clients want, buyers and sellers. I mentioned this earlier. We're going to get a big picture look at the market, and we'll discuss later on some ways technology can boost your value proposition as well. So pages 4 through 6 in your little guide, the 3 aspects of service, let's review. Know the underlying purpose of real estate. That's so silly. It's so easy. Why would anyone want to buy a house? You know, we talked about that 15 minutes ago. What's important during that process? Why would anyone be motivated to sell a house? What's important to them in that process? Usually it's pretty simple stuff. As a seller, I want the highest price with the least headaches possible and the greatest sense of security through my agent. As a buyer, I want to be able to find the right home for the right price and reliably get it, which is can be very challenging right now. So let's take a look at page, let's go back to our purpose, value proposition, and fiduciary. And I'll scroll back here on the screen here if I can. We need to know and communicate how we deliver our value proposition. I'm not saying that that's the exact answer. What have other people written in on there? Describe and convey how we deliver on our purpose, maybe? And then the easiest question of the 3, as a fiduciary, we need to have a continual drive to put what above all else? That's right, our clients' needs above all else. Anybody want to share any ahas they've had so far? Okay, we're going to move along. We're going to keep those private. I'm sure you've all had some ahas and written them down, right? I want you to look at page 5 now in your guide. There's a space to, well, actually on mine it says page 4. It's basically entitled Reflect on Your Value. Okay? There's a space to write about yourself, your strengths, your perspectives, and other things. So we're going to take a little break and do that now. Everybody go ahead and do that. Write down some responses, and this will be the beginning of crafting our value proposition, okay? I'm going to do it too. We'll take, let's take 7-ish minutes, okay? Go.
A cheerleader.
Nice. Very nice. Who's next?
I will say care or caring. Yeah, care, reliable, and fun sometimes.
Fun, yeah. There you go.
You're definitely funny, Martha.
Don't forget the fun.
Yeah.
Jeannie?
Honest,
Yeah. That's huge.
Oh, that's huge. I
Yeah.
forgot that one.
Respectful.
Yep. Excellent. Anybody got anything else? Okay. So those are all things that are going to tie into the next slide or two, because those qualities bring huge value. So now I want you to think about what words people who know you would describe you as that you didn't already write down on item 1. So item 1 was, how would you describe yourself? Well, how do people see you additionally or differently? We're going to start with the studio audience.
Well, when I told them what I was doing, they said, you'll be good at that because, and I just listened to what they said, because you're not pushy.
People told her that she's going to be good at this, at real estate, because she's not pushy.
Not aggressive.
And she's not aggressive. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
I'll be honest.
And honesty. Yep. Excellent. Elizabeth?
Bubbly and I think I'm a hard worker.
People would describe Elizabeth as a hard worker and bubbly. Those are great qualities. Yeah, I agree. Gabby?
Well, things that I have heard lately is that I'm active, I go better, I do what I put on my mind. I'm friendly and selective.
Active, go-getter, friendly, selective. Selective. Aha. That's a little higher level one there. I like that. That's interesting. Okay. How about our Zoomies, our Zoom friends?
Yeah, my friends are gonna describe me like I'm a social. They will tell me that I'm a social person, and I'm active and innovative, because
Those are great qualities. Yep.
Oh.
Come on, who's next?
Okay, hard worker, knowledgeable, friendly.
Fantastic.
I've been told I'm very protective of my friends and clients.
Oh, I like that one. That one speaks to me. Yep. Anybody else? Okay. I wrote down that people probably hopefully describe me as warm and loyal. So far, I haven't heard a single quality stated by the class today that isn't great for real estate. These are the qualities that we're bringing to the table that make us good realtors. Item 3, what skills do you have that make you great at real estate? So even if you've never done a transaction, what do you think will make you great at real estate? We've touched on single word answers about the qualities that we may have, but what about skills? I'd like to hear from maybe 3 people about what skills, especially you, Kate, that you bring to the table that your clients benefit from. So Kate, would you start us out? What do you got for skills?
What do I got for skills?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I don't know how much time you have.
Right.
I would say, I mean, I don't know if this, I kind of missed that for a second, but I would say I'm a really good listener. I mean, that might be what you guys were just doing, but I do think it's important just because there is a lot of like nuance when people talk, and they are saying a lot even when they're not actually saying words, like interpersonal communication with them and their spouse, and sort of like an ability to read between the lines, I think, or be a diplomat between like maybe a couple of people that are in the transaction.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge deal. Just in my, I mean, I'm pretty new, but I've dealt with a lot of different kinds of personalities. And I think to be kind of malleable in the way that you react to different types of personalities so far has been helpful for me.
Awesome.
Kate, I love that.
Yeah, that's huge. Being a dynamic, malleable personality, really, that's always present and loyal.
Yeah,
and
on a different move that can happen. So
sure,
depending on the situation.
Lisa pointed out earlier, I think that really hearing what your buyer's motivation is and how they interpret what you're seeing out there in the market ties into what Kate just said. You really do have to take in all the clues and decipher them sometimes to be of great value, especially to a buyer client. Because guess what, everybody? We know what this market is like. And what are buyers doing? They're settling. Can you imagine moving into a house that you had to compete out the wazoo for? It was hell on earth, no matter how good your realtor is, beating out 33 other offers. You have to do stuff. And then you get into the house and you find out in 6 months that it was the wrong one. There was something horrible with a neighbor that you didn't spot or that you let go because you were desperate. Who knows? The road noise was horrific. You had to act so quickly that you didn't have time to pick up on these things. That happens a lot. So picking up on some of those subtleties, a great buyer's agent may have actually put their own desire for a deal on the side burner and pointed those out a little bit as considerations that the buyer might be missing because they're all in a hectic frenzy to get into a house in this market, right?
Yeah.
And this is coming up in the chat too. Jeannie, I'm having to deal with losing out on showings. Coming soon, you had a showing booked and the owner accepted an offer buyer sight unseen, didn't even get to submit an offer or even show the damn thing. Was that one on Churchill or was that in Upper Roseville?
No, this was, I have a buyer who's looking for a townhome, and this was in Inver Grove Heights. And is an area we had looked at before. She knew that she wanted, was very interested in, and two in a row.
Two in a row.
Well, the other one, first one was, I don't know, there must have been somebody in the back, was watching in the background. It went on the market and was sold in, like a day. And then this one, we didn't even get to look at it. So that was, that's so competitive.
How interesting that that's not only happening with townhomes where there's some uniformity to each townhome. It's also happening on single family homes on large plots of land.
Yeah, Kate, I agree.
Yeah, I've been looking at townhomes a lot. I have a question for you, Paul, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something that I've been wondering how to, since we're talking about value proposition. So, when you're up against like 30 other offers and you lose, and it's hard to explain, I think, sometimes to the buyers that, it's just such a hard market. And, the bottom line is sometimes they just don't have enough on the table that's going to let them win. So how do you make sure that they know that you're doing all you can? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a very luxurious position that I'm in. At any given time, our team, I'm not going to spend much time on this because not everyone has this. At any given time, our team has 20 to 40 pre-market listings signed that no one knows is going to be sold. Kate, I'm sure the Highland team has quite a handful too, that you can advertise to your buyers and really deliver value to them. Hey, look, I could get you in there on Friday. I think it'd be one you might like, and no one even frickin' knows it's for sale yet. Like, how mind-blowing to a buyer would that be, right? But I'll give you another example that has nothing to do with a team. I'm probably going to be writing an offer for a really good sale for some buyer clients of mine because they weren't seeing anything good in the market. We've been looking for 4 months now. It's so tight, granted it's been winter, and they're looking, you guys, in the 600 to 900K bracket where things are usually a little slower. The inventory there is a tundra. So what I did is I took their auto search and just changed one criteria in their search. I moved it to sold between 1/1/2018 and I don't know, 6/1/2019. And there were, say, 43 results that matched their criteria. And I said, okay, and I emailed them all those sold properties to my clients. Okay, are any of these a 9 or a 10 out of a 10? Yeah, 2 of them were. But guess what I did? I called on those sold listings from 2018 and I said, is there any way your clients would look at an offer? One of them said yes. I showed them the house 2 nights ago. Just outside the box thinking, which I wrote down is one of the option 3 here, item 3. What skills do you have that make you great at real estate? If there is a problem, I love getting creative with it. Now, I'm not the first agent to ever do that, but I did think of that on my own to search for 2018 solds for people who suddenly in 2 years have tremendous equity and might take the luxury of already upgrading to something bigger and better. Or their kids went to college and now they feel like the house is too big, whatever. We might be writing an offer today on that house that I showed. So to answer Kate's excellent question, my answer is infuriatingly vague, and that is to simply think outside the box. There is always a way. Right?
I just tried that today, sent this same buyer the info about a townhome that's in the city more. And definitely, you know, it fits criteria about me being near workplace and everything else, but just suggested that let's brainstorm a little bit. This is a beautiful place. You know, let's try a different area than what we've been looking at. And this is something she definitely, she grew up in the suburbs, is not really thinking the city-ish, but it's time to do some dramatic differences.
That's
Changes.
a phenomenal example, right? So you've got buyer clients that are looking for a property and it's frustrating to them. And their entire search generally is constrained by certain criteria. The most crucial one being price and geography. If it's not working out, why not have that potentially awkward, tough conversation with them to say, hey, have you thought about, I know you want to stay within the 694, 494 ring, but there's amazing townhome communities just over in Oakdale and Woodbury that would only be an extra 4 minutes on your commute that are the same price that are available. Could I encourage you to think about looking at some of those with me on Tuesday night? Again, a showing is free, Mr. Buyer. Would you be willing to just take 30 minutes and go check one of those out? I know it's outside of your search criteria, so that's great. Good work on that. Kate, I'm sorry if that was not the answer you were looking for. You know what, to be more specific, I have looked a buyer in the face and I've flat out bluntly said, can you borrow money from mom?
Yeah.
It's a simple question.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You know what I usually get? I'm not sure. Sorry to make this awkward for the mother-daughter team in house here. Yeah, the answer, Kate, as you probably know, you may have asked that is, well, that's a yes. You know, that's possibly a yes. And I'm not going to push any further than that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
Some of it's instinct.
What's that?
I was going to say, some of it can be instinct. This particular buyer, again, she's still living at home. She's well qualified. She's been saving, and all this good stuff. And mom and dad have been a big part of the search. They've come for every showing. Mm-hmm. I know now from knowing the buyer and the family is mom and dad I think would be very open to helping out daughter, but they're all conservative too. So I'm the last one to show daughter something that she really can't afford. However, I'm finding that I can push the price point up a bit because I strongly feel that mom and dad would contribute to the down payment. So
that's right. And we do have to be careful with these potentially personal things, but we always have the safety of framing it in this way. I've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers who are living with their parents, and many of them have had their parents jump in this difficult market to help out a little bit. See, that's a script right there. That was a very short, simple script that just popped out of me that we've practiced on our team meetings before. All right, well, let's move along here. That was great. I'm loving this group. You're bringing serious value. Speaking of value, let's get back into our value proposition. Our value proposition should be engineered and aligned and edited to align with what buyers and sellers want. That's what we're here for, right? So in 2018, the National Association of Realtors devoted considerable time and attention into surveying what was most important to the average home buyer and home seller. And here's the data. Let's see, do you have this in your printout? You do. What buyers want and what buyers value. None of this is rocket science, but the interesting component of this is the frequency of answers, which is represented as a percentage. Obviously, the higher percentage items speak to the higher percentage of the population that values those items. What does a buyer want? Help me find the right home to purchase. Well, check it out. In 2018, the market was drastically different. I know because I was selling real estate. It was, in my opinion, more balanced. It was still a seller's market, but it wasn't like this. And when I say it was more balanced, I don't mean it was balanced. It was more balanced than today, that's for sure. In fact, every market in history has been more balanced than today. But I'm not frustrated. It's not about the market, it's about what we do, right? That's a quote from Shift. It's not about the market, it's about what you do. So what do buyers want? The vast majority said they want help finding the right home. You know, I'd go out on a limb here and I'd guess that that one has gone down as a percentage because buyer desperation has gone up. So there's probably a higher number next to item 2 at 14%, help the buyer negotiate terms of sale. And the third one at 11%, help with negotiations. That those two are brother and sister, aren't they? Hand in hand. So I would, regardless of how the percentages have changed with the market, a focus on the top 3 is still very apt and appropriate. Helping with negotiations is something that no Zillow can take away from us. That has to do with our experience and skill and our tenacity. Helping a buyer negotiate the terms of the sale is something that comes with knowing how a transaction works, knowing about the guts and the process of all of this stuff. Finding the right home to purchase, that one is a little bit more susceptible to the market conditions and the availability of relevant information in the marketplace, which, as you know, in every industry, including ours, is ratcheting up every single day. Technology has a way of breaking down information barriers, making that stuff more accessible to the average consumer. But I assume that that's still tops for what buyers want. Help me find the right home to purchase. And I would challenge you, if you've got buyer clients who are struggling and spinning their wheels like we keep talking about, they've written 4 offers, they can't get it done. Reach out to me. Reach out to the Highland team. What do you guys have off market? Oh my God, you've got one in the upper midway for under 300? It's a Craftsman? That's exactly what she wants, right? And no one knows about it. Call my team, we'll tell you. It's okay to do because we're all in the same brokerage. If you call CB Burnett, you're gonna get a laugh on the other end of the phone. Or something, I don't know. Okay. So that's what they want for action. They want help negotiating price, negotiating terms, finding the right house, and they're gonna lean on your expertise for those things. But what do they actually value? That's our next slide. It looks very similar to the first. And here is where I see tremendous overlap with the values you were calling out earlier as a team, as a group here in our class. Honesty came up so often with us, and I'm thrilled about that. Because guess what? I think it was Lisa who said this earlier. If you are dishonest with your clients, it's only a matter of time before they find out. You're never going to really get away with it. They might find out 8 years later, and they might dig into something that wasn't disclosed, and they might know that you should have known. Just saying, always be honest, so you'll never have to remember what you said. And with honesty, obviously comes trust. A very tight second on this chart is your experience. Now, we're dealing with mostly new agents in this class. That's why the class exists. And experience is something that does not, it doesn't have to preclude everything else. It is a high value, but if you train yourself by doing things like Ignite, by doing Bold, by reading, networking with good agents, role-playing, scripting. For example, Elizabeth sat through a tremendously dead open house in a blizzard with me last weekend. We role-played and scripted and did questions and answers. Things like that add to your experience, even if you've never represented a client through a transaction or bought or sold your own home. Your experience level, you are leveling up your experience by doing those activities. In fact, may I say something extremely controversial to anyone who has ears to listen? An agent who has never done a transaction is capable of being a better realtor and doing a better job than one who has sold 10 houses this year. That is a fact. I have met terrible successful realtors. I would love to name a name of a giant brokerage with huge billboards right now, but I won't. There are teams in, I've got 2 models in the class here. There are teams and agents out there who are doing insanely high amounts of business who suck. I'm just gonna say that. Let me show my age a little bit and be immature. So don't be intimidated by that second one there, agent's experience. And actually it's not second, it's tied for third, reputation. So if you're a brand new agent, what are some ways that, aside from past clients, because you don't have any, what are some other sources of reputation that you can draw on and demonstrate? Think outside the box a little. You know, in my previous career, I had these accolades. Or here are some Google reviews of me in my previous career or current one. Here are some things that my team has to say about me. Here's a situation I got into that we overcame. Think outside the box. Reputation is everything, especially in a small town like ours. I like to say that the Twin Cities is really more of a small town masquerading as a city, because the amount of people you see out on the street that you know is higher than any other city I've been in. So any aha moments, any surprises here, focusing on the top 3 of what buyers want and what buyers value? Any feedback? Oh, mother and daughter team in the studio audience are beet red right now because they're teasing each other about something.
She's making fun of my lack of experience. And we're in hysterics.
Have you bought or sold a home before?
No, I haven't so.
Okay.
But you just enlightened me.
We've got some sheltered studio audience participants here, apparently, who are giggling like school children, but we are in class. Is there anything anybody would like to offer up about, specifically about what buyers want or value as we've gone through this list of these top 3 things? Any surprises or any value that you could share about those things? Or any questions? Nobody? Well, let's say this then. What about if you were a buyer, you were not licensed, and you're buying a house? Is there anything missing here that you would add? I'm gonna offer one up. Oh, Jeannie, you go.
Well, this is a little more specific, but you know, if I was a buyer or a seller, I would love to have access or assistance with contacts for an inspection, or how do you know if your well is capped, and you know, and you know, different partners, you know, someone who can, you know, suggestions as to who can you know, help prepare the house for selling, you know, staging or cleaning and that type of thing. And that might be something you might not find with the billboard people.
Yeah, or a discount broker, because they just want to turn you and burn you, right?
Yeah.
I think one
Amen.
thing that might not have come up in this 2018 survey is accessibility, especially now in this market, like how available you have to be for if you want to go in and not do an offer sight unseen. You know, if people actually want to see properties and they're seeing it at 7 p.m. and the highest and best is due at midnight, you know, like not a lot of agents want to be working 7 to midnight on a Saturday night.
That's a very good point. Accessibility. They do say agent is timely with the responses, but it's that's not the same thing as what you're talking about, Beth. And it's a good point, because in this crazy market, especially on the buyer side, you have to work 3 times harder than you used to. In theory, you have to have 3 times the amount of time you used to have to, because it takes buyers 3 times the amount of homes to see and 3 times the amount of offers to snag one. So how are you going to deal with that? Especially, how are you going to deal with that when your business ramps up and you start getting some momentum and you are literally running out of time? You're working 12, 14-hour days and you haven't seen your husband or wife or partner. That is a crucial thing to think about. And it's what buyers value. Beth is absolutely right on that. So if you see what buyers value, agent is timely with responses, has a 6% by it. I would guess, Beth, that has doubled or tripled. Things are moving so fast. Here's one that I didn't see that I would totally put on here for myself is creativity. You know, my God, I have to write 6 offers before I get a house? I don't want to do that. Why don't you think of something, Mr. Agent, that you can do to give me an edge? Absolutely. That is fair game. And I will, and I do. I just gave you an example of that. Anybody else want to go? St. Paul Small in the chat. That's right.
Oh, I believe the few things that came up in this conversation may alleviate the issues that may come up. Having a buyer consultation with them and talking about what the market's like and setting the expectation. Yes, I know that we cannot expect everything and explain everything what's going on sitting right there with them, but give them a general idea as to how quickly this is going and having everything set up and talking about the issues that may come up ahead of time from the very first transaction, writing an offer to not getting accepted or not even able to go in and look at the house, and they go pending 5 days before the coming soon was supposed to be.
That's right.
And so that's I think that's more you can prepare your buyers. I think it would be best. I know we cannot prepare them for everything, but best possible, I think.
Lisa makes a truly excellent point, because so many buyers are getting into the market, starting out, and they have no idea what it's like. And you could say that in any market, and you could say that that's valuable in any market, but this is a historic market where you've heard this a lot the last couple of years. We're living in historic times. The inventory crisis in the Twin Cities and nationally has never, ever been this bad, ever. And the data supports that. In fact, in February of this year, we had, I believe, the lowest recorded amount of inventory in the market in history. And this stuff has been tracked for decades. The absorption rate was under a month. They say that a balanced market is 3 to 6 months. So in some manner of speaking, we're 6 times under where we should be in terms of inventory. That puts so much stress on the market. And what Lisa said is that we should go to great lengths to really sit the client down before you get super geared up and going on showings. Not only to go over contracts, but to really hone in on the market, because setting expectations will be part of the value you bring to them. The heartache that they'll feel on offer number 2 or 3 that they don't get. Now, we're not trying to be pessimistic, but this is just the reality of the market right now. That heartbreak can be alleviated before they even step foot in a house on a showing. Thank you, Lisa. We're gonna do a little abbreviated worksheet on our own. You've got what buyers value and what buyers need or want rather on these pie graphs in your printout, right? No, you don't have the pie graphs, you've got the line bracket things. So I want everyone in attendance today to pick one of these items, what buyers want or what buyers value, and it's going to speak to you more than the others. Say to yourself, oh yeah, I can do that, or I have that. You know, like, oh, I'm really timely with my responses, right? Pick one item that speaks to you, and then on the next sheet, it starts out with what skills do you have, what services do you offer that align with what buyers want. Focus on that one thing and do this, the first 2 items on the next page of your printout. What skills do you have or services do you offer that align with what buyers want? And what characteristics or habits do you have that align with what buyers value? Just pick one item and speak to why you can bring that home, why you can offer that to your clients. What's unique about you for that one thing, okay? And we'll just take 5 minutes and then share, okay?
Might need a notification. Pop over here. Oh no, I left the email.
Oh.
That's why you probably keep your.
We're not looking at it.
Don't worry.
I'm sure it's fine.
There's only good things on there.
Yeah. Calling this figure is mandatory.
I have no.
Supposed to be done each time.
I don't think it has to be.
I'd rather script.
It's so funny. I heard it on my computer, and then I computed in Zoom, and I was like, oh.
You're actually listening.
I know.
All right.
I always am, you guys.
All right, everybody. Hopefully we have some good stuff written down. I personally, because it came up a bit ago, I chose agent is timely with responses. And what that really means right now is agent is timely with showings. Because the people who need us the quickest and the most to be right there on the ball are the buyers who know that the house that just pops up that looks perfect for them is going to be gone in 2 days. I need to get in there. I need to have a chance. That's timely. So that's the one I chose. Now, whatever you chose, we're going to take it a step further. You chose a quality or a value or some thunder that you bring that they value. And you chose it because it speaks to you or because you feel capable of doing it, right? Well, how are you going to switch that into their thinking? How are you going to communicate that value to them? So think about it as a script. And we're going to present these later. I'm going to give you another 5 minutes to take that value or need / want that you chose. You described it as a skill that you can offer and align with. And you may have even described it as a characteristic of your personality or a habit that you do. Well, how are you going to explain to your client or your prospect that you have that? What will it do for them? So pretend you're in a listing appointment or a buyer consult, and you're trying to earn their business. You're trying to get them to sign on with you, and you're spending a little bit of the time of that meeting talking about this item. This is something I bring the thunder on. How are you going to communicate it to that prospect to earn their business? We're going to take 5 minutes. Doesn't have to be long. And then we're going to come back, okay? Go. One minute warning. There are some pens that are red hot on fire in the studio audience here. We are writing like crazy. All right, who is willing to do that little script with us? Anybody gonna step up to the plate? do a little role play? Kate?
Okay, sure. I think I know what I'm doing. I was on the phone with somebody for a second, but
Busy.
I mean, it wasn't a fun phone call, so it makes me feel any
Okay.
better. Yeah.
Well, it's
Okay.
over now.
Well, so
What
I
was your
guess
item that you chose?
what was my value proposition?
Yep.
Well, I think I'll just go with that malleable one that I'm good at, kind of gauging other lots of different situations and personalities and sort of going with that. So
Okay.
I think what I would say is that because I have the type of personality, I think I am able to work well both with you as clients and also the other agent on the other side. So in this kind of climate of high intensity and multiple offers, I'm kind of able to be nimble and able to sort of negotiate on the fly. So hopefully I'd be able to kind of face a lot of different types of challenges and types of questions and think outside the box. And so I think that's a huge asset, especially in this market and with having to think on your feet. Something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, and Kate, would you do that exact script? That's not really a script, that's just you being genuine. Would you say those things to a potential client at their dining room table?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And you should.
Okay. Yes.
There's a lot of robotic, stodgy realtors out there who crumble under the pressure of a very dynamic environment, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, it's stressful out there.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Kate.
Uh-huh.
Okay, everyone, you all cheated. You let a more experienced agent go first. Who's next? Jeannie, you got something?
Yeah, I just have like part of it, or one sentence, part of a script, but basically, I'd be wanting to say to a buyer that I'm dedicated to finding you the home of your dreams in today's competitive market, and I won't be giving up until your goals are fulfilled.
Nice. I hear determination in that. I hear a common goal. That's a strong statement. It's concise. You should use that.
I don't give up easily.
Yep. Determined. Very nice. All right, I'm going to call on our studio audience for someone to come up here with me. And we're going to role play.
Elizabeth.
She's still writing. Oh my gosh, it's the...
I'm making notes.
She's reading up.
Okay. Gabby, you got something? No? Okay. You already came up here, so either of you wanted to try, or should we go back to the Zoom? All right, we've got the formerly broken ankled Elizabeth coming up here. Well, it's still
kind of broken.
It's still broken. She's going to role play this.
Okay.
So everyone, I am going to be the buyer. Would you say this to a buyer or a seller?
I wrote it to both, but
Oh,
you can
okay.
be whoever you want to be.
I am a first-time home buyer, and I have determined that I'm going to interview 3 different realtors because I'm very thorough, and I want the best out there. And I went based on Google reviews. The 3 realtors I chose have phenomenal reviews. This is one of them, and now we're sitting at Dunn Brothers Coffee outside on the patio, and she's going to tell me more about herself.
Jeez, you put the pressure on.
Pressure makes diamonds.
Okay. All right. I said, so my thing is agent has caring personality / good listener.
So her item was caring personality / good listener. Can you get a little closer? Pretend I'm the buyer, okay?
Okay, buyer.
We're gonna interact.
Wait, do I have to actually I just was gonna read it.
You can read it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, being your realtor means more than helping you buy or sell your house. I was attracted to this industry because I enjoy connecting with people. I will use my experiences and knowledge to serve you in any way I can and to truly understand your needs.
Wow. Okay.
It's really generic.
That almost sounds like a wedding thing. I promise to do this and this and this and this. No, that's good. That's good
It's
because
like a wedding relationship.
That's exactly what I was going to
Not
say.
for life, but could be for life.
Well,
if they always
the goal.
use you.
That's the goal. And ultimately, a deep, loyal bond like that is what we all want.
Mhm.
You know, if they're not interested in that, okay, I can get them through a transaction. I may never hear from them again.
Mhm.
But the clients I love and the ones that send me the most referrals, it's almost like we're great friends. We're married in a way, in a business sense, right? They're not ever going to use anyone but me.
Mhm.
So long as I maintain that relationship.
Right.
You guys, can I share something from my house the other night? I was on the phone. I tripped into this accidental transaction with these buyers. And I was getting this old couple. And the guy reminds me of my dad. And I was getting off the phone with him the other night. And I was on speaker. And he goes, "Love ya." And my husband, like, I hung up and he's like, "That is so weird." I'm like, "No, it is absolutely not. Like, I absolutely want him to love me, right?"
Oh my gosh.
That is a little weird though, Beth, isn't it?
Yeah. And the husband hears it.
Only Beth knows if it's creepy or not. It depends on the person,
Yeah.
Frank.
right? Yeah.
Or Frank.
Never leave a room without telling the people that you love them. So I love all you guys.
Ah,
Thanks,
see,
Beth.
part of why he said that is because the ground was fertile, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
No.
Whatever.
Bad.
Okay, that does sound bad. We're gonna move on. Thank
Am
you.
I done?
Yes, you're done.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So hers was kind of the big picture loyalty, good feelings. You can trust me. I'm sensitive to you. Those are the vibes I got from that. Would you like to go too?
Well, no.
Okay.
Coincidentally, we picked the same thing.
Okay, mother and daughter picked the same one.
All right.
No surprise.
But I think with some of that, I mean, some of this, a lot of this is awkward to say about yourself, but with this, I think it's kind of a character trait that I think part of this is they will see that in you. I think it's a really important.
Can you all hear this? A little bit?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear.
No, I think.
It's a character trait?
Yeah, like, I think those first substantive meetings are really important
Mhm.
because you're establishing yourself and they're gonna see that. That's gonna exude
Yeah.
from you. You know, your eye contact, you're a good listener, it's body language and all that stuff. And I think that shows in, you know, with those first meetings, I think you're setting the stage.
You're setting the stage at those first meetings. I 100% agree.
Hearing, they can see, they can tell.
They can sense that. And there's a fascinating thing that comes up in bold about all these studies that have been done about interpersonal communications that you're speaking to right now. And it's this idea that 80% of what's communicated between us is not with words, right?
Right.
So if you've got that, and you do, you're gold.
Okay.
Other people have less of that gift that you have, and so they have to work harder.
Okay.
But you're right, you can't run against that. If it's not there, they'll know.
Okay, yeah.
If you don't really care, they're gonna pick up on that.
Mhm. It's
So-
kind of love at first sight, going back to the marriage thing, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, you know what I mean? Do you
Yeah.
click?
Right,
If you don't click, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
hire someone if I don't feel like I click with them. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
Unless you're desperate, and then things typically fall apart later.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to go? Give me a little script as if you're trying to win my business. I know you're thinking about it. I know you're tempted.
I will say that I'm a good negotiator, and that's something very important in this market. You know, like with this bidding war offers and all of that. So we have to have a lot of techniques, and you know, like just to try to get those offers accepted.
So Janet, I understand that you are confident in your ability to negotiate. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What makes you a good negotiator? I know, I'm pushing a little. You can't fail. You can't fail. Don't worry.
I can fail. Well, you know, like first of all, we have to put our clients' needs first and try to find what is better for them. So, and you know, like something that I love about Keller Williams, like, you know, like those 16 techniques to to get a deal or an offer accepted. So I think that's a part of, like trying to negotiate something and just like find ways so our offer looks better than other ones, or I don't know how to tell you.
Yeah. No, that's good, Janet. So what I'm hearing is that you are going to put my needs first and foremost, negotiate on those, and find creative ways to get our terms and what I need accepted. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I'm just going to wrap this segment up by going myself, okay? I'll give you a quick example and feel free to steal anything you've heard from anyone else or me on this, okay? So I wrote down that thing that came up earlier. Agent is timely with responses. And I'm going to be speaking to a buyer. Obviously, being timely with responses has to do with how quickly can I show you a house, because it's going to be gone in 2 days, right? And this is the one. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here we go. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I know that you're aware of how crazy this market is. Things move very quickly. We've talked about it and you've seen it too. You were already aware when I stepped into your dining room tonight. And so obviously it's extremely important to me to not let you miss out on houses that you think could be the one for you. So when that special house pops up, oh my gosh, Paul, we're excited. This looks like the one. We need to get in there. I'm going to commit to you that I will get you in that house within 1 or 2 days on the market. I will show up at 9 p.m. for you on a Saturday, if that's what it takes. But if I can't be there, I'm going to find an agent on our team who can. Does that sound like a benefit to you? Wow, amazing, right? If he can't do it, he'll find someone who can. Every single one of us in this brokerage has that capability. Use that. Now, I said 1 or 2 days on market. There's a little caveat there. The first day a property hits the market is technically day 0. It doesn't tick on the DOMs. And you know what? If we can't make it in some way and get them through that house when showings are available and they miss out, they're probably not going to hold it against me if it sells in 2 days and it was tough because I have a life and I couldn't find another agent to do it. I typically will get them in there though. And I do say that to buyers. That's a high standard that a lot of people don't have the bandwidth or schedule to do, but I do. I don't have kids, I'm not married, etc. And I'm obsessed with real estate. But so you could modify the number of days or whatever, use that as you see fit. But the point is, if they miss out on a house because I couldn't get there, even if they don't hold it against me, I'm going to feel terrible. That kind of aligns with some of the other stuff we've heard about loyalty and really partnering and feeling good with your clients. And I don't want to feel terrible, right? If it's my fault that you didn't get your dream house, geez, that sucks. Anybody else want to go? Last chance. If you're thinking about it, just do it. It's easy. All right.
Yeah, Paul, maybe I can speak.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Susan. Actually, I think first impression is really important. How the people will feel when they see you and when you start speaking with them, it's really important. And then those words like reliable or honest, this type of feelings will come through to their minds, just a little bit at least. And then the technical skills and knowledge are really important to give a best service to the clients. And yeah, and I am happy to attend this class to learn some scripts, especially those are all English. So I am writing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we will finish up today with a really cool script that called the Promise script that maybe some of you have heard of, maybe not. It is a secret weapon to getting referrals. Thank you for contributing there. To speak to your point, the idea of 80% or whatever of communication being nonverbal, there isn't a ton we can do with that. That's sort of metaphysical, esoteric, what have you. With a lot of training and focus, we can change our, subconscious behaviors. But even if somebody has a really great vibe going with you and they already know you're the one, they still want to hear confirming evidence of it. And that's why they still bother to go through the motions of interviewing you as a potential realtor. In fact, even past clients sometimes, this is horrifying to say, one or two over the years have subjected me to another round of interviews. Paul, sorry, we love you. We know you did do a great job, but this is so important to us that when we're selling this house that you sold us 4 years ago, we are going to be interviewing two other realtors. And holy crap, does that feel weird to hear that? And I really befriend my clients. But you know what? More power to them for even saying that to me. Because, you know, the day is coming for all of us when we see a sold listing on the market and it's like, oh my God, Aaron sold his house last year? Aaron, what the hell? And we almost hit the floor, right? Who knows what that is? Who knows? There's a million things that could be. But the point is, don't take anything for granted in this industry. In fact, Aaron might be going with Zillow in the near future here because they sold him on some stupid, shallow tagline about commission or something. That's why we stay present with our clients. Sorry to go on a little tangent there. But yes, you're right, Susan, too. The point is, people still need you to be present and still need that confirmation of their instincts and what their heart is telling them, right?
Yes, yeah. And one question I have, if maybe it's a different question, but
yeah.
If you when you have your open house and if you receive multiple offers from different buyers, what are you gonna do in the open house? I mean, how are you gonna respond to them? What's the script for that, for example?
What a great question. I can open that up to the field, but I would just say that if the property is sold by the time I'm doing the open, I think that I've possibly failed a little bit. And what I mean by that is that there's still demand in the market that would be coming to the open that hasn't been allowed to express itself. So this is a great example of like the properties coming soon, selling sight unseen. I'm not convinced that that's good for the seller because the amount of buyers as a pool out there who are willing to do that is tiny. Compare their results to catering to that tiny sliver of the population that would write sight unseen to the results they could get if they opened the floodgates and had 50 showings on opening weekend and 2 open houses. So I don't like doing that. I like holding until 2 or 3 days for the maximum amount of offers, etc. But that's not really your question. The question is, what if the property is sold and you've got people coming into the open? How do you look them in the eye and say anything other than sorry? Well, here's just one little tidbit and then I'll open it up to the audience. Why not come with a list of comps that are out there that you could show them right after the open because you've already booked a slot. This is a comparable house. My open house ends at 1. I already booked a slot for someone just like you for 1:15 at that house. Let's go see it. Do you have any idea how impressive that would be? You might just pick up a buyer client by doing that. That's one idea. Any others?
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, great, thank you.
Things like that, yeah.
Yeah, we will see. I don't know yet. Yes.
That's so cool. But let me take it one step to the side real quick. I don't do open houses primarily as a service to my seller. I do it to check a box, and the open house does serve a purpose to help sell the home. But 80% of the reason, Kate's nodding her head, 80% of the reason I do open houses is to pick up buyers.
Yeah.
They are a gold mine. Sure, lots of people are coming in. Oh, I have a realtor. That may or may not be true, and I will dig a little deeper for a lot of them, but there is unsigned ready buyers who are well qualified, who need a realtor, who want a realtor, they just haven't gotten one yet, coming into your open houses.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Kate,
Thank
was
you.
that the nod I got earlier?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
How about we get backup offers?
Yeah, great point from the field here in person. The more people coming through the house on an open, even if it's sold, the more likely it is that we'll get a backup offer. Great point. Yeah, and backup offers are great for many reasons. One of the best values in a backup offer is to be able to say to the primary offer that you're working with, hey, no, we're not going to give you your $5,000 concession. I've got a strong offer right behind you. We'll give you $1,000. Let's get this done. Oh my God, they have another offer. Oh shoot, it might be better than ours. Okay, let's just get this done. You can see a buyer change quickly on that. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. Like, I had a listing like 8 months ago, and like my seller, he wanted to know, like, every time that I got an offer, he wanted to know like right away. So when I got the first offer, it was like they were offering over the asking price, and he said like, I want to get that one. I had like open houses and everything ready, and I was excited about it because it was my first listing, and I was like, you know, like making plans about the open house, and just like you said, like thinking about getting more buyers, or you know, from that.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of people that asking showings, or that the showings were already requested. But when that happens, then I have to call them and start canceling everything. There was a lot of people very upset.
Yes, there was.
And I was upset too, to be honest. But, you know, like in that case, you know, is the seller the one that, you know, takes or took the decision at that time? So, but what would you recommend? Like, in this case, like, what should I do better the next time? Like, don't show the offers or put like a deadline. What would you do?
Yeah, that's a big one. And I have some very strong feelings about that. But to give you the general answer, you are the educator, you're the professional, this is what you do, and the client should listen to your input on this. So whatever position you take on that subject is what you should present. There's this idea of like, okay, there's a million ways to prospect for new business. Which one should I do? The one you're best at, the one that feels best. So Janet, if you have an opinion on the proper course of action, advocate that to your seller. Yeah. My personal one is, if you're looking for a bit of feedback from me personally, would be, in this market, you owe it to yourself to get multiples. Mm-hmm. It's so valuable to have a backup offer, like we mentioned. And yes, they're so easy to get as long as you do a little bit of prep, make the place look good, and price it appropriately and market it appropriately. You should get multiple offers.
Yes. Yeah.
And the value of multiple offers is something that with that client or with that future client, when this comes up, you're setting expectations, like we said earlier, taking that future pain away from them by setting expectations up front. Hey, we're going to go live on Thursday. Showings start Friday, 9 a.m. And we're going to have open houses and tons of showings all weekend long. In fact, as a coming soon, they're already being booked. Check it out. Mm-hmm. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the value of having multiple offers and backup offers cannot be overstated. So can we agree now, before the properties even hit the market, can we agree now at your dining room table that any offers we receive on Friday or Saturday, we're going to wait to make our final decision Sunday night so that we have the opportunity for more offers to come in?
Yeah, and that's what I said, but it didn't work. So
okay, so it didn't work. Let's drill in further. Now we're at the moment where they are holding this one offer you've received, and you've got open houses planned, and showings on the books for the next couple days, right?
Mhm.
What do you think is going through their heads that you could speak to as they hold that one offer? Why do you think they're excited to accept it against your advice?
Because of the net. Well, when they told me what was, their the net that they wanted to, that offer was even higher than what they were expecting. So it was like they didn't want to lose it.
Right. So to them, the offer seemed so good that it was, we
Yeah.
can't let this slip away.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So Janet, I understand that this offer is everything you wanted and more. But what we're seeing in this crazy market is people making rash decisions because they're desperate. They've lost out on 3 other offers. They find this perfect house that you're selling on the market, and they've gone Hail Mary. They've overwhelmed you with how good their offer is. Janet, unfortunately, in this market, I've seen a lot of people get cold feet after you accept. And they will then go to greater lengths to beat you up on the inspection, or they'll cancel outright because something more attractive hit the market in a couple days after you accept. What I'm getting at, Janet, is that it is crucial that we have at least one backup offer to fall back on and to use against them when they try to negotiate against us. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes.
Good,
it
because
does.
I'm going to take it a step further too.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
Buyers right now, Janet, are so desperate that the odds of losing them by saying, hey, we got your offer, we love it, thank you, we're going to give it 1 or 2 more days, and hopefully you prevail. The odds of losing them for that is astronomically low. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we have nothing to lose and a tremendous amount to gain by delaying.
Yeah. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Gabby. Okay, we've spent so much time having awesome conversations that we are actually going to be pressed for time before you know it. So let's actually fast forward a little bit and start crafting this thing we've been talking about this whole time, huh? What do you say? You in your spare time can go through what sellers want, because earlier we were just doing buyers, and what sellers value. There was some stuff that we could do here regarding our technology. You can find that all over KW Command and Connect. Here's the actual activity. So is everybody ready? You got to go to?
Go to another meeting.
Okay, understood. It is getting late.
It's 4.
Is that when we quit?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we had till 5.
No.
Okay. Well,
Isn't that right? Yeah. One.
sorry, this is my first one. Okay. Well, here's the
You
thing.
could go on another, this was a good, this was a good day. This was a good
This was good.
lesson.
Thank you for everyone who participated. So in case anyone on Zoom didn't hear, I actually thought we were ending at 5. This is my first Ignite I've ever taught. Turns out we're ending at 4. So in your Ignite guide that you all printed out or have on your screen, just cruise to the point where it says my value proposition in the middle. And you're actually gonna just follow the prompt where it says craft your value proposition. In your free time, I encourage you to do this because this will tie in all the stuff we've spent time talking about and doing. Your value proposition, you got to remember, is a unique, memorable, persuasive statement that expresses the value of working with you. Okay. And so try to do that activity and reach out to me later if you would choose to brainstorm it further. My phone number, if anybody wants to write this down, call or text me anytime. What's that?
Yes, please.
651-403-1032 or Paul, P-A-U-L, at theoddcoupleteam.com. Paul at theoddcoupleteam.com. Would love to hear from you. Sorry we went over time. I was going to script. Maybe I'll tie that in tomorrow. I'm teaching tomorrow's Ignite. We'll do the script, the promise script tomorrow. It's amazing. What do you say, folks? Did you have a good time today?
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you all. It was great.
Thank you.
And I guess we'll end there.
We'll be in.
Thank you, Paul.
Yep. Have a good day.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I was gonna ask, if it's already sold or pending, you still have to go through the open house?
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I mean,
Do
since
you-
the house is sold.
Do you have to still do it?
Yeah, you have to go through.
You
No,
don't.
You could cancel the open?
You can cancel it. You'll piss a lot of people off though.
But I